wanted to come back to hope because, and you talk about making it practical because, you know, hope so much of the time is, I mean, Paul's got this line, hope does not, is it Paul? No, it might be Peter. I don't know. Hope does not disappoint. I think it's Peter, actually. I think hope does not disappoint. I'm like, well, it sure as hell does in the way it is defined a lot of the time. It's like you said, I hope my team wins. I hope this works out. I hope I win the lottery one day. Whatever we hope for, it just feels like this really passive, I have, the universe is going to happen to me and I hope it'll be okay. Um, and and I've been reading some of the Stoic philosophers recently, and they sort of, they have that the universe is going to happen to me, and it's probably going to be terrible, but it's fine because here's why it's fine, and you can thrive in this, and so it's sort of a a very cheerfully grim kind of outlook. And but I'm just wondering for you, what is hope? How does it
Yeah.
how do you make it practical for other people?
Yeah. I love all that you just said. Uh, one of the main reasons in retrospect, that I was in Nashville was I got involved doing prison ministry, and it was just so like renegade. Like me and a buddy went into prison on a weekly basis for about 23 years and had this kind of, oh, ever revolving door prisoners and guards and wardens and chaplains. And for some reason, we just kept being afforded the opportunity to go in there. And it was very instrumental for both me and my buddy to kind of in our careers and in our just our personal spiritual lives, like, to go in there at first with an agenda of, I'm going to save souls and I'm going to do it, this way. And I'll be cool about it, of course. But, the agenda, and learning that that doesn't work as far as building relationships and building trust. I can't have an agenda. And one of the guys that I got close to, I was telling him about this hope thing. And he goes, "That's great, Mark. It's great that you want to be the hope guy. It's wonderful. But how can you make it real for me? Like, how can you give me something that I
Mm.
can grab a hold of?" And I'm always grateful for him because he gave me an assignment, and I went home and thought about it a lot. And I came up with a formula for hope. And it sounds kind of grandiose that I would do that. I came up with a formula for hope, but it's rooted in the idea that I don't believe that hope can be circumstantial. I believe that hope is a posture. Hope is a way of looking rather than hoping to experience something.
Mm. Mm.
Because you and I both know, like, because we've hoped for things and then they don't happen. Like, you tell people, ask God for this, and then when it doesn't happen, like, how do you view God then?
Right.
Of course, we try things at, like, oh, it wasn't in God's will. And we're not supposed to be pissed off at God when that,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that never makes sense to me. So to be a person of hope, to me, is I'm adopting this posture where I'm going to look at myself and the world and even God with this perspective of hope that says, where I'm at right now, it's not the end of the story. There, even like I talked about feeling so hopeless, like hopelessness thinks it can see the future and that it's not going to get any better. But hope, like, understands it, like, I can't see the future.
Mm.
And for me, with my belief in God, trusting that God is actually a good God, that there's still good that is yet to come. The story is still being written for me and for that person. There's never like, that's the end.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if there's somebody in your life that you're like, oh man, how that person seems to be in such a dead end life, there's no hope for that person. We'll even say
Mm.
those
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that is making God too small. Because I believe as long as somebody's breathing, and maybe even after they breathe, I don't know enough about the details, but while somebody is breathing, there is always hope for a person. Um, for example, that same young man that asked me, how can you make this practical for me? Um, we had a real major falling out, and he used me. It was pretty bad, and I lost track of him. And in the last 4 months, it was one of those miracles that I
Mm,
mentioned. He reached out to me and apologized for what he did to me, and thanked
mm,
me for the incredible influence that I had on his life. And unfortunately, I just found out that he died of overdose 2 weeks ago. So like, I was afforded this like 2 month window of redemption
mm.
that I get to carry on with me for eternity. That to me was such a God thing. But let me tell you my formula for hope. That was really sad and depressing. Sorry about that. Obviously, it's impactful in my life, and I don't want to just laugh it off. My
Yeah.
therapist mentions that. Why do you always laugh when it's hard? So I came up with this formula for hope, and for me, it's kind of like a three-legged stool. Like the first aspect of hope for me, the first part of the equation, is to be grounded in faith. And it doesn't have to be Christianity, it doesn't have to be anything, but it's just this idea that there's more going on than just me. There's more
Yeah.
going on in this world than just my story.
Yeah.
I can play a part in this grand story, but I am just a part of it. And for me to connect my Christian faith to it, there's an element of trust to that God is good, and the good is still yet to come. But even if you don't have Christianity, there's just this feeling of like, this is not all about me. Life is much bigger
Yeah.
than me and my
Yeah.
story, and I'm gonna take my proper place in that.
Yeah.
And
I, I'll jump in with one of my all-time
please,
favorite lyrics,
yeah,
which is um, well, George Harrison. I had to go through the Beatles till I got to George. It, he says, "Life, you are only very small, and life goes on within you and without you." And just such a beautiful, beautiful lyric.
love that.
And it's sort of that thing that you're talking about, that realizing that you're just a tiny part of a much bigger whole. And so anyway, carry on.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is as you like allow yourself to decrease, you're able to see like the increase all around you. Like the world actually gets bigger and more magical
Yeah.
because like when we're so focused on ourselves, we can't see the wonder all around us. So I love that. The second part is being fueled by love. And for me, that has two parts. One is, understanding that I am unbelievably, unconditionally loved by God, my Creator. Um, but that could be, your parent or your spouse, your partner, or your friend, whatever. Believing that I am loved and receiving that fully and letting that fuel me, so that then I can actually give away that love completely to everybody else that I encounter. Like, if I don't know that I'm loved, if I think that I'm supposed to like earn my love somehow, I'm always going to look at everybody else like they've got to earn some that love as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be very judgmental, and pushing people away from me that are different than me. But if I see myself as completely loved, unconditionally, then I'm actually able to wear that as use that as the fuel to all my interactions with people, so that I start to view everybody else as brothers and sisters. Like we're all the beloved children of God. You know, I know that there are some Christian faiths that say, well, unless you, say the sinner's prayer and accept Jesus Christ as your
Yeah.
Savior, that's when you become a child of God. I believe that God made all of us in God's image, and that we have all come from this amazing source which connects us all, and that so much of life is designed to separate us and disconnect us, and I call that sin. And so these things that separate us are the things that I believe God is asking us to get rid of, and I believe that's why like love is the fuel that's going to reconnect us. When I can look at you with love and say you're my brother, like there's there's no disconnect.
Yeah.
And so that's the second part. um, the third part, grounded in faith, fueled by love, and then guided by vision. For me, I mean, they're all really important, but this one's super important for me because vision is that thing that says, I want to be a part of something. I want to I want to accomplish this thing. It might be a vision for today. It might be a vision for 5 years from now. It might be as grand as I just want to, help build the kingdom of God here on earth. Like it could be like that kind of broad thing, but it's this vision that compels me, that gets me out of bed. When I don't have any vision, uh, in the Bible, it so clearly says, without a vision, people perish. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I love that some of the translations say, without a vision, people wander, because he was talking about
Yeah.
wandering in the desert. And it's like, that's how it's so easy to live. And we have so many voices all around us telling us what our vision should be. Come over here, do this,
Yeah.
taste this, experience this, feel this, be this. And so when we're able to capture a vision for ourselves, to me, that gives me incredible hope. So when I start to feel like the darkness starts creeping in, and I start to hear the ruminations of hopelessness. I'm familiar, so I know these voices and these sounds and those feelings. Sometimes sometimes I don't think like, oh, what's my problem? I just need to fix the equation. I don't think that, because sometimes I just need to be in that place, because
Mhm.
I believe there's things to learn in that place as well. Um, but when it then is time to like come forth from that grave, if you will, I usually have to go, okay, what am I believing? Where's my faith right now? How am I how am I viewing how am I loved as a person, and how am I loving other people? And where have I maybe lost vision? Where has the vision been kicked out of me? Maybe by my circumstances. So
Yeah.
hope becomes this posture, this outlook, this lens that I can look at the world um, through, and it keeps me going. And and to tie it into Christianity, which I love doing, but is also very complicated. Um, we can point to the Christian belief in the resurrection, which says
Mhm.
death is not the end.
Yeah.
So we can even say now, like, death is not the end for us as well. And so, like, even in death, there's hope, um, because we can say, like, this was just a momentary uh, pass through the wilderness to our actual home. I don't know how that works. Don't quote me on saying I know how the afterlife works and what happens when we die. I just understand kind of the Christian principles, just
Yeah.
much like you do as well.
I think that I like that, and I think I happen to have it up on my other screen because that formula just happened because there's a lot of white on the page and it's put some light on my face. But your formula is there.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Your
terrific.
equation is there in front of me. But I want to circle back on the vision, and the reason is like faith I get, and the way you said that, and love I get that, and vision I think I get that, but I am not. I'm not a leader person. I've been in leadership positions, but I'm not a visionary person. I am not. And so when I hear vision, I think of people. Back in the '90s, everyone had to have vision statements, and then and I've never had that. I will never be a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk with this grand thing that creates an amazing thing, where I can see that we need to make this. I am a guy who just sort of goes through life, and I think I'm reasonably good at seeing opportunities that are in front of me and responding to them. Um, but I've never been a person, and another thing that I have been a person. I've been a person my whole life, but I've never been a person who
Thanks
is,
for clarifying
yes,
that.
who is. I have a tendency to stop in the middle of sentences as well. Who is visionary? So like I am really good at being an employee. So I was self-employed for quite a long time, and that was okay. And I was reasonably successful at that. But like I'm really good at, the CEO of the company I work for now. He's very visionary, and I can take that and I can translate that into real things, and I can do that. But I don't have vision in the way I think about it, and I think you're probably talking about it in a slightly different way. but do you see what I'm saying? It's like I like to say vision. It's like, man, I haven't really got vision. I just sort of, you know, I work with other people's vision, and I respond to what comes my way, but I'm not. But I think maybe you're kind of talking about something slightly different. I don't know. Help me out here.
Yeah, well, of course, I can help you. I can fix you. I'll make it all better. Uh,
I've heard you're
no,
very good at that.
yeah. So let me disagree with you that you're not a person of vision because the reason why we met is because you had a vision for this thing on Substack. And you said, I'm going to create something. And maybe you didn't know exactly what it was at the time, but you
Yeah.
had a vision. And you've been.
Yes. I mean, it was mostly I was annoyed that what I wanted didn't exist, so I had to make it.
Yes, that's a vision.
Okay.
That's you, and
Okay.
you did that, and you keep doing it, and you show up in my crazy email box every morning, I open my phone sometimes before I even get out of bed, and there you are. So like we have this very intimate relationship, and you usually have something like super silly, but then like you have this nugget of truth that is just so profound, and that's why people love what you do, Jeff. Is because you keep inserting your wisdom into it in such a unique and beautiful way. So I hope more and more people can experience that. Uh, so when I think about vision, it can be as simple as um, gosh, it's Tuesday, but Friday night we're gonna go out. We're gonna have a great time. You have a vision for Friday night
Hmm.
that compels you through the week because you've got
Yeah.
something to look forward to,
Yeah.
Or you could be like, okay, it's like 0 degrees outside right now, but next month we're going to go to Florida and it's going to be really nice there and we'll wait in line at Disney World for 3 hours for each ride. It's going to be amazing. uh, no, that sounds miserable. But I know people will do that, but like this vision for like something good yet
Okay.
to come that carries me through the mundaneness of today or the struggle of today. Even if it's 5 o'clock, like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to it's almost 5 o'clock. So I'm going to make it through the rest of the day. Having a vision for something that's yet ahead, for me, like having a creative project keeps me alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I keep talking about my awesome therapist, and one of the things he says is like, try to not do anything for a while. Like, try to not be productive. And I was like, I don't know about that, mister.
How does
And
that even work?
yeah, he's like, well, what will you feel if you do nothing? And I say, I will feel like a loser if I'm not doing anything, which is a big red flag that my
Yeah.
identity and worth and value is tied into my productivity. So having to be aware of that, but also realizing the value of like having a list, like having my to-do list right here of things that I can work on for today,
Mhm.
um, that will get me through today and also over the next few days. So having a vision creatively for a small project or a big project, that gets me out of bed, and I think that's more specifically what I'm talking
Mm.
about in this
Okay.
hope
Yeah.
equation is having that vision. Maybe it's Saturday brunch with your spouse. I mean that's something great to look forward to.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I can get on board with that. So
Yes, and
so
but you do agree though that you have vision for your Substack,
yeah,
right?
the
Come
way
on.
the way that you've
Okay.
defined it, totally, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that makes sense. Um, right. So speaking of vision, what is the vision for Mark Smeby? What are you up to? How can people connect with you? How do you what's what's in the pipelines?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I feel like I have fewer answers to that question now than ever before, and there's a beautiful freedom to that.
Hmm.
Because I have been so driven by, oh, what's next? I gotta have something next. So I'm gonna continue doing audiobooks as long as they'll have me. I started taking voice lessons for the first time in my life, just right before Christmas, because I want to explore my potential. Yeah, I made all these records and sung all these concerts, but like, I wanna get better. And so my vision is maybe not for like a particular goal to hit, but to progress.
Mhm.
And that feels really good and feels very healthy, you know. And and I can say like, oh yeah, I want to get good enough, and then I'll do like a one night at a local cafe and sing show tunes for a night. Like I'm thinking about something like that. That's would be
Yeah.
super fun and very, very challenging. Um, so other than that, I'm looking forward to continuing to enjoy time with my family, and I have a whole pile of lyrics that need to be turned into songs. I have a new album that I want to finish. I have the title, the theme, um, and it's one of those things where I'm just learning kind of which demons to battle and which to ignore, and how to bless myself with creativity rather than curse myself with
Mm.
creativity. And so I hope that in a year we can look back and laugh and go, "Oh, you made making that CD look so easy, Mark." And I'm like, "Oh yes, you have no idea the blood that was shed." But yeah, I'm looking forward to working on that. I'm always writing. I've got my weekly Substack that I put out on Wednesdays, and it's called Crazy Hope. And I know we'll link to each other,
Yeah.
so grateful for that. But that's my weekly writing to make sense of my faith journey and to offer hope to people, hope to keep inspiring people. I also have a 1 minute daily radio feature that I've been doing for 8 or 9 years called the Live Hope Minute that plays on about 300 radio stations around the US and
Um,
Canada. And I recently turned that into a Substack. I'd always wanted to do like a daily, like a weekday email blast, but finally have the tools in order to set that up. And so I'm able to actually include the audio as well as the text, build up the email for that, cross pollinate, create some synergy, all that jazz. So those are kind of the things that I work on. I love just listening to music. I love reading books, watching TV and movies, and having a bit of a simple life. So that's kind of where I sit
cool.
right now.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I am grateful for what you do, Jeff, and I know that there's days where it just feels like it's all silliness, but sometimes that there's just that one sentence that you say that keeps me going. So I appreciate that, and what you mentioned about Rick Rubin's book in particular. I think that was yesterday, and how it made you question whether you had any right to like insert your creativity into the
Yeah.
world when
Yeah.
this was a master and here was in his book. And
Cloth
just
bound. It's a cloth bound book. It's not just any old book
yes, of course,
with a
but the
bookmark
people,
ribbon.
even better, but the people that read your stuff, Substack, might never pick up that book, but they'll hear your voice. And um, and that to me is living in the belovedness, is like saying like God made you unique in a really creative and crazy, awesome, beautiful way to speak words to the world in a way that nobody else can speak. And I see you doing that, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to just keep shining light on that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And that's why I'm so always insisting on people making their stuff because,
Yes.
you're the only you there is. So
Yes.
even if you're singing a song that someone else has sung, bunch of people have sung, no, you've never sung it before, and it's going to connect with someone.
Yes.
And so, if you don't make the stuff that's inside of you, the world's going to be poorer for it.
Yes. Yes. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. This has really been a pleasure. I've
Oh my gosh.
enjoyed it
Let's
tremendously.
let's do this again.